Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. Today we look at Utah Hockey's prospects that Bill Armstrong has drafted. These are players that haven't touched NHL ice yet and haven't touched American Hockey League ice either, except one exception. But usually I like to keep the prospects who aren't in the AHL or NHL separate from the AHL, and then AHL prospects separate from the NHL. So obviously, no Gunther or Cooley, they're considered prospects, but currently playing in the NHL. Josh Stone, a prospect as well. But, you know, in between AHL and NHL, these are players who are in junior leagues. I think that's the best way to describe it. And if you think this is daunting, we got 13 more picks coming up in about a month and a half. No idea how I'm going to handle that. Maybe I got to record the first bulk of prospects and then redo the board with the second half of prospects. Hopefully, Bill Armstrong and company package some draft picks up and make some trades so they don't actually pick 13 human beings. So let's start with it. The best prospect in the pool right now, playing in the WHL, the Western Hockey League, which encompasses Western Canada and Northwest America. So like Seattle's got a team, the Wenatchee Wild, which is in the state of Washington, Portland Winterhawks, and then you got Western Canada as well. Geekie started off with the Wenatchee Wild, then got traded at the deadline to the Swift Current Broncos. Look at these numbers. 99 points in 55 games played, 43 goals, almost a goal per game. 56 assists, drafted in the first round, a centerman. He played 2 games for the Tucson Roadrunners in the playoffs. You know, didn't see that high-end skill, offensive creativity from him, but he looked pretty smart and just kind of played it safe, considering he literally joined the team and then was thrown into the playoffs. He is 6'4" and 196 pounds. You're going to hear a lot of these huge boys when I read off their weight and height. Maybe, you know, that's the reason why I like the Utah Mammoth as a name for Utah. Geekie got 9 points in 9 games played in the WHL playoffs. They lost in the second round to Moose Jaw. Yes, that's a real place, and I think Moose Jaw is about to win the WHL title. He also played for Team Canada at the World Juniors Championship in December. He had 3 points in 5 games played, but that 5th game, he got, you know, ejected out of the game for a nice, clean, hard hit. You can't really do that on the international level. And that's Connor Geekie. Really excited for him to have a full year with the Roadrunners this upcoming season. Then we go to a bit of an underrated defenseman who has been making the rounds, you know, getting some buzz and hype around him. Justin Kipke, a defenseman in the 5th round, 52 points in 67 games played. The red points are their last year's totals if they stayed in the same league. So obviously Geekie cleared his numbers by 11 games less, even at that. For Kipke, Geekie Kipke, he had 33 points last season. This season, 52 points. That's what you love to see, just incremental steps forward in their production. And look at that, 16 goals as well, doubling his goal total in the same amount of games. 2, he is 6'3", 194 pounds. He had 6 points in 4 playoff games. That's pretty good for a defenseman. And he made the rookie all-star team for his WHL division. Only 2 defensemen were picked or are able to be picked to make the all-star team for that division, and he was one of 2. So you're looking at the top 2 defensemen in his respective WHL division. Then we go to the last one in the WHL, Terrell Goldsmith. Don't fret about his point totals, even though he was drafted ahead of Kipke. He is a bruiser. He's a big body defenseman who's going to help clear the ice. He's intimidating. He's going to play that physical game and also get a lot of penalties. This guy had 122 penalties in 66 games played. That's almost 2 minutes a game in the sin bin. So he's that bruiser, rough and tumble type of player. You need those type of players in like rookie tournaments, training camp, just to protect your young guys and give a bit of a physical competition in training camp. But I agree, maybe taking a bit high at the 4th round, but you never know. These big physical guys, they could get better and start producing more offensively. Then we go to the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. They changed the name from the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. That's a mouthful. Then we go to one of our best press prospects for defensemen drafted in the 1st round, Maverick Lamoureux, a great name. This guy is 6'7", 214 pounds. He had 33 points in 39 games played, almost double his goal totals from last year as well. He only played 39 games. He's been riddled with injuries, I would say, since the Coyotes drafted him. Last year, he was injured. This year, he had a lower body injury, then got diagnosed with mononucleosis after the World Junior Tournament. And then he couldn't play in the playoffs for Drummondville in Quebec, who went on to win the Quebec title. So that must be rough for Maverick, where he had to sit at the sidelines watching his team win the title. He was diagnosed with an upper body injury, I believe. Hopefully, he's getting all the injuries behind him before he joins the NHL. Like I said, also, he had 3 points in the 5 games played for the World Junior team for Team Canada. That tournament, a lot of people, started to recognize Lamoureux and be like, oh, this is a big, long defender. And who's he play for? Oh, the Coyotes, now the Utah Hockey Club. A lot of mainstream people really noticed Lamoureux and were pretty much jealous that this NHL team was able to draft Lamoureux. Going to his Quebec partner in Langlois, who had 62 points in 61 games played. Pretty much a point per game defenseman. 17 goals, 45 assists. Much better than last year where he had 50 points in 61 games played. I've been really high on Langlois. I've seen him in 2 rookie tournaments now. He puts up big numbers in the queue. But, right before, Craig Morgan sort of retired or had to leave the Coyotes due to the relocation, he said that the Coyotes development staff aren't too high on Langlois, as opposed to me. I like big numbers. Please give me big numbers. But for them, they don't like other areas of his game, probably the defensive side of the game, maybe not as smart, but he puts in a lot of points and puts up a lot of production. But that doesn't mean they're going to walk away from Langlois. His rights expire June 1st. And in that report, Craig Morgan said they might still sign him to an amateur American Hockey League contract and not sign him to an NHL entry-level contract right away. So we'll wait and see about that. June 1st is really like 2 weeks away. So maybe we'll find out sooner rather than later. Then we go to the United States Hockey League. We have 2nd round pick Julian Lutz, who plays in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Finally, he starts to score and put up points. He's found his league, I guess you can say. 68 points in 50 games played, 24 goals to add to that. Last year and the previous years, he was playing in the German league and wasn't putting up points at all. I was getting pretty frustrated that a 2nd round pick was kind of middling looking at the stat sheet. I saw him in the rookie tournament last summer and he looked okay. Obviously, guys like Geeky, I don't know if Cooley was there. Cooley, Gunther, Doan, Ratu, they looked better than Lutz. But Lutz was a good supplementary type of player. But yeah, in the German league, he wasn't producing. In the USHL, he's starting to produce. So we'll see where he goes from there. He's a bit of an overager for that league. So we'll see if he goes to the NCAA next, or maybe, Utah signs him to an entry-level contract. Also, in the United States Hockey League are Carson Musser and Adam Zlinka. I obviously couldn't fit them over there, so they're not part of the NCAA. Musser, our first goalie we're going to talk about, drafted in the 6th round. Let's see here. How tall is Musser? I didn't put down his height because there's a monster of a goalie over there in Horrible. But for Musser, 17 wins, 11 losses, 2 overtime losses, a .905 save percentage, .274 goals against average. Good numbers. If you're new to me talking about goalies, I love it. And you need to have your goalie above 900 and below 3 goals against average. A 2.5 is the best, and a 910. If you have a 910 and a 250, that's great. That's music to my ears. We'll go to Adam Zlinka, 7th round. Centerman, 18 points and 46 games played. I don't hear much buzz around Zelinka. So one of those prospects where you throw a dart in the 7th round, maybe he becomes something, maybe he doesn't. And finally, we'll go to Duda, who is not part of the USHL. He had just a turbulent year for Artem Duda. He left Russia and then got in trouble with the NCAA. He flew to Maine and wanted to play for the Maine hockey club in the NCAA. And then he had to get signed off that he could join the team, and that never happened. That was around December. And so finally, Bill Armstrong said, you know what? Go to Toronto, play for their university. It's a very junior league. It's not even on par with the WHL or the Ontario Hockey League or the Quebec League. It's like a junior university league. But, I read an article, that same article by Craig Morgan, and he said he played and practiced a lot with 2 development coaches that Utah, now former Coyotes. It's going to be hard to say Utah and Coyotes, but 2 development coaches under Bill Armstrong live in Toronto, and they were very close with Duda. And in that Craig Morgan article, they said they're very happy and excited for Duda. They practiced with him a lot in that league. He had 7 points in 12 games played. And, they were very impressed by Duda's skating ability, passing ability, the way he controls the zone on the defensive side. He's a 2nd round pick as well. He should either join the Roadrunners or go to the NCAA finally next year. Just really want him to play more hockey. He pretty much played a quarter of a season this past season, so he needs to play some more hockey. Next, we move on to the NCAA, where the bulk of the prospects play. Most of these guys, it's their first year playing in the NCAA, except for Sam Lipkin, who finished his college career and signed with the Tucson Roadrunners about a month and a half ago. Only had 1 assist in 7 games played with the Roadrunners and was not dressed for those 2 playoff games. But Lipkin, a 7th round pick centerman, finishing his college career, a point per game player. Just great stuff. You can't ask for more for a 7th round pick. And before the NCAA, he played for the Chicago Steel, teammates with Josh Doan. So it's great to have some synergy, familiarity, and friendships deep within the organization. Then we go to one of the top goalie prospects for the team, Horrible, or as it's pronounced, Horrible, which I hate saying. I'd rather say Horrible. Goalie, 2nd round pick. This guy is 6'6", 209 pounds. When he stands in his crease, the crossbar is literally just above his belly button. It's pretty absurd. Great goalie numbers for his first year in the NCAA. 16 wins, 12 losses, 1 overtime shootout loss, a .912 save percentage, and a .259 goals against average. Then we go to these trio of 3rd round picks, who I am loving each and every one of these guys. Next year, they'll still be in the NCAA, but all 3 of these guys have won accolades, trophies. We'll start with Matika, 33 points in 43 games played. He plays for Denver, and he won the championship. Last year, Lipkin won the championship with Quinnipiac. They beat out Logan Cooley and Minnesota. Horrible plays for UMass. Then we go to Castagna, 25 points in 35 games played. He was awarded the most outstanding player in his conference, the Eastern Conference of the NCAA. There's 12 teams of players to choose from, and somehow Castagna won most outstanding player award. That's pretty incredible. He plays for Cornell University. I mean, to have a 3rd round pick win most outstanding player in his conference, that's a huge deal, and really excited for the future of Castagna. Matika and Ludka. Ludka plays for Omaha University. Both of them made it to the all-star rookie team for their respective conference. the Northern Conference in the NCAA. So just great stuff. First years in the NCAA, winning accolades, making an impact on their team. The coaches love them. That's all you could ask for rounds 3 to 7. Great stuff from those 3 guys. And then we go on a bit of a sour note with Morden, a defenseman picked in the 5th round, not really making as much noise as 5th round pick Justin Kipke, but he's a big boy, 6'4", 203 pounds. He plays for Harvard University. Just hopefully takes a step forward next year. Maybe he plays better production, or maybe he's just a defensive defenseman. It's harder for defensemen to gauge how they're projecting, but I don't hear much about Morden for their prospects. Then we go to the KHL in Russia. The 2 huge Russians in Daniel But and Dmitry Simashev. But 6'6", 216 pounds, and Dmitry Simashev 6'5", 203 pounds. When Lamoureux and Simashev are on the Utah hockey team, the nickname I gave them was the 2 towers, just towering, lanky, long, thin defensemen. You just love to see it. A very unique asset that this prospect pool has, and not a lot of other NHL teams have these sort of tall, lanky, long stick defensemen. But and Simashev, their team made it to the finals in the Russian Championship. Unfortunately, they did get swept in the finals, but each game was really close. 3 of the games were 2-1 losses, and 1 game was a 1-0 loss. It's really hard for rookies to play in the KHL because, honestly, the KHL could be the 2nd or 3rd most competitive hockey league across the globe. So for rookies, it's hard to crack the lineup, get a lot of minutes, but the fact that they stayed on their KHL team for the whole season is just a great accolade that they could hang their hat on. It's very rare a rookie stays in the KHL. Usually they play in the junior league, in the VHL. But yeah, they played limited minutes, but what the Utah hockey development staff saw of But and Simashev, they were ecstatic. They love how they play. They make an impact. They don't get sour when they play about 8 minutes a game. They're good. Both players are good for their team, and the team loves having them. Next season, having 1 year under their belt, they'll have more minutes and have a bigger impact. But right now, a lot of limited ice time playing for a very good Russian team. Then we go to Vadim Moroz, 3rd round pick forward, 22 points in 63 games played. It's great to see a 3rd round pick play the full season in the KHL as well. Who I removed from the board is Ilya Fedotov, a huge, big body guy who we drafted in the 2nd round, along with Josh Stone and Julian Lutz. I believe that was the 2021 draft. Yeah, we picked him before guys like Stankoven and Matthew Knies. Really don't like the pick. Obviously, at the time, you don't know who Stankoven and Knies are. But yeah, Fedotov, a huge, big body, which Bill Armstrong loves to pick, and sometimes it doesn't go the way you want. He doesn't really play consistently in the KHL. He's always in the junior leagues in Russia, so I started to move on from him. Now it's been 3 years. You can't fit all these guys on the board. Then we go to Sweden and Finland. Sweden, we have a goaltender, Melker Thielen, 5-3-0 in the 2nd highest league in Sweden. The top highest is the SHL, and then the 2nd highest is this other league, which I will not pronounce the name of. But a .915 save percentage, a .250 goals against average. You love to see those goalie numbers. And then Noel Nord, the first ever signing in Utah NHL hockey history. He signed an entry-level contract about a week ago, so he should be playing for the Roadrunners this upcoming season. 15 points and 50 games played. I guess the development staff really liked what they saw from him, and they want him closer in North America, playing with the Roadrunners. Or maybe he stays in Sweden. Just because you sign an ELC doesn't really mean you have to play in North America right away. But we'll see what the plans are for Nord. Then finally, Finland, Samu Bao, 2 points in 43 games played. Another one of those big body draft picks that doesn't really translate into points. He's 6'5", 216 pounds. I also want to say Noel Nord helped his team win the Sweden Championship, and their team might get promoted to the top SHL league. But back to Bo, 6th-round pick, huge centerman. Yeah, his points don't really jump off the page to me. Pretty much another one of those picks where you go for a big body and doesn't really translate. A lot of big bodies on this board, as you can tell. Then we go to Korhonen, a goalie, 4th-round pick who's been in the system for a very long time. Like 2 seasons ago, he played 4 games for the Tucson Roadrunners, and then they never brought him back. I think him and Anson Thornton are going to compete for the backup job for the Roadrunners next season. But I like Korhonen. I want him in North American ice. You can see the progression from last season. He went from an .879 to a .903 save percentage. I just want to see more of him. I think he's a pretty good goalie. For Anson Thornton, who's not on this board because this past season has just been a wash for him. He was exceptional in the rookie tournament last September. Watching it, he looked AHL ready. He looked great, and then he got injured in the training camp with the Coyotes, and then only played 4 games with the Roadrunners, got injured again, and then only played 9 games in the ECHL, the East Coast Hockey League. And yeah, just riddled with injuries this season. He's got to move past it, get a good summer in. I think Anson Thornton is a really good goalie. Hopefully they don't move on from him so quickly. With goalies, they take a while. It's not like Horrible is going to be a star next season. Sometimes they got to bake a bit more in their junior league. So that's it. That's a long video, but thank you for sticking with it. A lot of good prospects here, and hopefully not 13 more players to be picked at the end of June. But yeah, a very deep, exciting prospect pipeline that you should take note of these guys, follow them on Twitter, Instagram, or follow their respective leagues to see where they are in their point totals, and just keep their names in your memory because they should be making noise moving forward. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.